Hey guys, it's Chantel Sumas here from north of Chicago, and I head up marketing efforts at an expense management firm here. And I also advocate for the differently abled community. And what that means is, as somebody who has mental and physical challenges with my autoimmune disease, I advocate that there's no such thing as a limitation, especially when you have mental and physical challenges. We can always overcome them in some form of way. And if you have one, you know what I'm talking about. And so a little bit of my background is that I have something called multiple sclerosis. And what multiple sclerosis, or MS, is it's basically like my brain is a chocolate chip cookie, except instead of the cookie, it's my brain. And instead of chocolate chips, it's brain lesions. So it's brain damage sprinkled everywhere. And how I figured this out is a few years ago, I was losing my vision. And I didn't have health insurance, so I didn't go to the eye doctor. And I just kept going more and more blind. And it got so bad where I couldn't even see faces. I could hardly make out colors anymore too, and it was terrifying. So my dad ended up forcing me to go to the doctor, and they said everything looks fine in your eyes, so it's in your brain. And they immediately thought it was a brain tumor. And I remember going out to my dad and saying, "Dad, they said brain tumor. What am I gonna do?" And he just, held me and said, "It's okay. We'll get through this together. We've been through so much together." And what ended up happening was shortly after that, they found out those brain lesions were conclusive to being multiple sclerosis, and that was through a MRI that we had. And what MS is it is like it's an incurable cancer of the nervous system, and it's treated with cancer medications too. So, plasmapheresis, plasma exchanges, chemotherapy, those kinds of treatments are done on people with MS. And my journey had just begun when I was losing my vision, because what ended up happening was I lost my hearing as well. I was very hearing impaired, and I went deaf, and I lost control of my legs, the use of my legs, and I couldn't walk. And I was a perfectly healthy young girl. I was running every single day, and I was, taking my massive dogs for runs, and I couldn't walk. I woke up and I couldn't walk. I couldn't move my legs. I couldn't function. I had seizures. And I guess I'd always had seizures. I didn't really realize that I had epilepsy my whole life pretty much, but they came on like staring spells, right? And a lot of people thought that I was just daydreaming, or it's just a blonde moment, right? But it wasn't. Those were actually seizures. And things got really bad when my brain started getting more and more damaged, and I had the shaking seizures. And things got so bad when I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I couldn't even verbalize things. I couldn't even tell you what month it was. I was so brain dead. And I remember thinking, this is it. I don't want to live like this. And I'd been through so much before too, because, I'd been bullied in high school, and I had a learning disability growing up even. I couldn't even recite the alphabet or spell until 3rd grade. So, and I had that dad there, right? That was always like, we're gonna get through this. We're not gonna let this stigma or this label, this label isn't gonna do anything for you. You're gonna work through it, and you're gonna be a lot stronger and a lot better than this. And I tried. And I was terrible in middle school, and I was terrible in high school, and even my first 2 years in college I was awful because I didn't have my head in the game. But just overcoming those situations in my past really shaped me for the fight of my life. And I was sitting there in bed like, I can't move my legs, I can't, how am I gonna be a good daughter? How am I gonna be a good mother? How am I gonna be a good wife or a girlfriend? Or how can I do this? And I wanted to end it all. And I constantly thought about it and called hospital, saying that if there's no hope for recovery, if there's no hope for me to get my legs back, to get my eyes back, to get my ears back, what's the point in life if you can't get better, if there's no hope, and it's so unpredictable of what could happen. So the thing about multiple sclerosis is that it's so unique. Every single case is so unique. So you can't diagnose it very well, and you don't know what the future will bring. You could recover you could recover somewhat, and you might not ever recover, and it might just get worse and worse and worse. And that unpredictability killed me inside. But I had a choice. I had the choice to give up and let the illness devour me mentally and physically, or I was going to do something about it and change what I was going to do. And I'd been through all that baloney in the past that I wasn't going to let this stupid illness consume me. So I researched everything that I could. I researched medications, and I tried different medications, and things didn't really work out. I was on all these infusion clinics. I'd go in 3 times a week with all the cancer patients in there, and that's actually a pretty lively crowd, but it wasn't helping me, and I wasn't getting any better. My vision got a little bit better, and my hearing did recover, but there were so many other things. I couldn't feel my feet. You know how hard it is to walk when you can't feel your feet? It's not good. So I ended up researching other things, what medicine couldn't help with. And that was, I changed my diet, totally and completely changed it. I found this diet that had been studies conducted for people with all different kinds of neurological illnesses. And I thought, why not? It's just changing my diet a little bit. I can get rid of ice cream and chocolate, that's fine. And I did. And I remember 2 weeks after I changed my diet to this neurological eating regimen, so it was pretty much the ketogenic diet, I stopped having seizures. And I haven't had a seizure since I changed my diet. And gradually I was able to walk around the block. And then from then I was able to walk around 2 blocks. And just like that, because I didn't give up, my whole life changed. And since there's not enough studies conducted out there about diet and exercise in relation to neurological diseases, there are a lot, but nothing's definitive. So, you know what? I took it all in my hands and I ran with it. So that's a little bit about my story. Today I am super healthy. I work out every single day because it's a beautiful day. Every day when I wake up and I open my eyes and I look at the sky, it's a different color, and it's something you can really appreciate, and it's beautiful. Even a cloudy sky with all those different colors of gray is something so gorgeous that you can't really experience until you don't know what you have until it's gone. So even singing and songs and music, it's just this beautiful thing, this beautiful gift, because you don't realize how incredible it is to hear and to see when you don't have it for a little while and you don't know if you'll ever get it back. Luckily for me, I was one of the lucky ones and I recovered. So, yeah, I guess the one thing that I can tell you, if you're battling a physical or mental challenge, whether it's the inability to, if you're blind or you're deaf and you're seeing subtitles on this video, or you have depression and you have some suicidal thoughts, reach out to somebody. Because first, you just, besides accepting it, you need to talk to somebody about it. And from then, it'll get so much better. And then my other suggestion for overcoming limitations is that there's always a way. You just need to keep learning. Whether it's talking to a professional about it or reading a lot of books, there's always a way out. There's always a better tomorrow. That's the beauty of the unpredictability of the future, is that anything could happen. Anything could happen. Heck, you could win the lottery, right? So it's just beautiful. So my 3 tips for you guys in high school for overcoming limitations, all right? The one is to always be learning. Always learn. Whether it's in school, especially when your parents are paying for your education, because it gets really expensive when you have to do it for yourself. So always be learning. Soak it all up. That's one thing that I would totally do if I could redo it all over again. Also, forget what people think of you. If you have limitations and you feel like you're struggling inside mentally, don't ever think that somebody thinks less of you, because guess what? You taking care of all of those struggles, all of those challenges and obstacles, mentally and physically, you have so much more than the average person has, because you're working on overcoming that regularly. Whether it's putting a smile on your face or what have you, you're so much stronger than you think you are. And then last but not least, don't let anybody tell you what you can and cannot accomplish, because the sky's the limit. I mean, not even the sky, right? SpaceX, we're getting out into the universe, right? So don't let anybody hold you back. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do anything, because you can. You're the only you, and you're the only one that knows you. So thanks for having me, guys. Good luck. Good luck. Bye.
Hi, so I am Quentin Allums, I go by Q, and I'm the co-founder of Mad Genie and Milwaukee Misfits, and I'm not going to bore you with the details of what I do, but essentially I help awesome people leverage their story, use their story to achieve their goals, to grow their companies, to get new opportunities, and we host house parties for professionals. So it's a lot of fun. I'm having the time of my life, and I get to meet so many amazing people. And I also spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. So I'm a top video creator on that platform, and I'm telling my stories, and I'm meeting these people, and I'm engaging, and I'm creating so much content. So throughout 2018, I'll just be traveling, but I'll be traveling a lot throughout the US and talking about the platform, my experiences with it, and teaching people how to use it. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. But how I got to where I am now, like that's the story that I want to focus on. So my life it's been like just this massive struggle. Like I came out of the womb struggling. Like when I was born, like I came out purple because I couldn't breathe. And then 2 weeks later, like my dad left the family, and it was just me, my mom, and my older brother, and like we didn't have much, and we struggled, and my mom worked very, very hard to make sure that we had a life worth living. Like I moved around a ton, so I was always that kid in the back that didn't have any friends because I didn't know how to connect to people, because I was always moving. I was writing poetry, I was writing songs, but I never really had any real friends. I remember having we got noodles, and we put it in a pot, and that's what we ate, and we put ketchup on it. We didn't have any food. Like I remember not eating some nights, and it was just a struggle, but my mom worked her butt off to get to where she was, and eventually like she was good, and we were fine, and we moved out of the bad neighborhoods, but she got in a bad relationship, and that was a very, very difficult time in my life, because there was this constant fighting and constant turmoil, and ultimately he took everything that she had. So when I came to college, like I was homeless, and I didn't have anything. And she's good now, she's totally fine now, but at that time, like I came into college and I had my guitar and I had my voice, and that's how I made money, because I had nothing else. I legitimately was homeless because we lost everything from that guy. And like you learn a lot about people through that. You learn a lot about yourself through that. And that was the beginning of me learning how to use my talents to make money, using my vulnerabilities and my stories to make money, to connect with people. And that's what I do now too, but that was the beginning, and that started with that music. So there's been a lot of struggles in my life. Like my brother, he was a famous athlete, and he's an advocate now, but throughout some stuff that went on, like there was a lot of hate and a lot of negativity, and he was kicked off his team, and like his school let him go, and all these different things, and got hate mail and just a bunch of hatred and negativity, and a lot of that was directed to me and my family as well. And like that's the stuff that I witnessed growing up, and it was hard. It was crazy going through all that, but you keep going and you keep moving, and I remember really the most difficult thing that I went through really was starting my company. Like I was dating the love of my life, and like I had a bunch of money saved up. I had just turned down basically my dream job to go out to California and work at this virtual reality startup, which was my dream, but I declined it to start my own company. And I had all this money saved up, and I was good, and I had my puppy, and my life was great. And then I started my business. And then my girlfriend left me, and then my dog got pneumonia and almost died. Then my dog got hit by a car, then I got sick, and then I totaled my car, hurt my back, and then I ran out of funds, and then I was crying in my bed every single night because I didn't know what to do, but I was supposed to be starting this company. And then I also started a second company at the same time, and then that company failed. So all these different things, all this negativity, and like I had to grow my company, but I had no idea what to do. And I was going through that and trying to grow my company, but nothing was happening. I had no funds. I remember looking at my phone, looking at my bank account, and I had negative $900 in my account. Negative $900, and rent was due in like 4 days, and I had no idea what to do. I had no clients, I had nothing. I couldn't go back to my job because I already burned that bridge, and I was just sitting there like, what am I gonna do? And I remember thinking like, I'm never gonna get to this point again. I'm never gonna get to that negative. This is as low as I'm ever gonna get. And I walked into my room and I talked to my roommate, and I'm like, dude, like if I don't have at least one client by the end of the week, I'm done. And I'm gonna go get a job, and I'm done. I'm never gonna do this again. And at the end of that week, I had 3 clients. And that was the beginning of me starting to grow and starting to build. And it was still a struggle. Like I didn't make much money, but that was the beginning. That was the first time that I made money with my company, and I haven't looked back since. But I had to get through that struggle and through all that turmoil and that conflict and the constant snowball effect of negativity that I was going through with the girlfriend and the dog and the sickness and all those different things. I had to get through that to get to where I am now. And it was difficult. It was very, very difficult. And it wasn't until maybe 4 or 5 months ago that my business really started to take off. And that's when I moved to LinkedIn. And I was this kid that was struggling to grow my company for over a year. And I was trying to do this and meeting all these people and creating all this content. Then all of a sudden I moved to LinkedIn, and I did the same thing. I didn't change up anything. I just started telling my stories. I just started talking to people. I just started meeting with people, and people started listening. People started watching, people started calling me, people started asking me to do their personal branding, to hire me. And all of a sudden my company just exploded, and my personal brand exploded. But it was all because I kept going, and I got through that negativity that I was going through. But my life has just been, and everybody has their difficulties, everybody has their disadvantages and advantages, everybody goes through something. But my life was a mess for the longest time, and I kind of got addicted to that, and I kind of thrived in that. I was kind of like, I was okay in that struggle, in that mess, because I had been in so long. And there's benefits to that, and there's drawbacks to that too as well, right? Like I'm good in times of conflict. I'm okay in those times of conflict, and I was okay. But I also had to realize that I had to give myself permission to step out of that and to be okay, to start making money, to start growing, and to start helping people. And that was very hard for me to get over that. But like I said, like everybody has their advantages, everybody has their disadvantages, everybody has things that they go through, they have their limitations. So I would say to get over that, to overcome that, just acknowledge that they're there. Don't ignore them. Acknowledge that they're there and that you have them, and that it has hindered your progress maybe, or it has hurt you, or it has stopped you. Acknowledge that it's there, but don't let that keep you from achieving your dream. Don't let that keep you from stepping outside of your comfort zone to talk to that person, to connect with that company, to go to that school, whatever it is. Don't let that stop you from achieving that goal that you've set out for yourself. Because sometimes those disadvantages that you think you have, those disadvantages that you do have, can turn out to be an advantage. So good luck. Embrace those limitations, embrace those disadvantages, accept that they're there, but don't let them stop you, and just keep moving forward, guys. Take care.
Hi, my name is Dr. Judd Laurie. I'm a chiropractor and I am an intraoperative neurophysiologist. Many people know what a chiropractor is. We basically use our hands to treat the spine, to treat the nervous system as it exits out of the spine, and to make people better without having to use medication. A lot of people don't know what an intraoperative neurophysiologist is, so I'm going to take a minute to explain that, what I do in my normal day-to-day, and also where I was in high school and what I did along the way to kind of change the outcome of where I was kind of headed in life. So as an intraoperative neurophysiologist, I go into brain and spine surgery procedures, and I have a laptop and some hardware, and I can actually wire up some patients, and I'm reading the nervous system during brain and spine and vascular type of procedures. And I give the neurosurgeon or the orthopedic surgeon some real-time feedback in terms of how the person is doing under anesthesia and during the surgery, so we can make sure that the patients are staying nice and safe. So, my graduate degree is in chiropractic. My undergraduate degree is from the University of Buffalo in exercise science. But let's take it a step back even further and go into my high school experience. So when I was in high school, and even before that in middle school, I was very disengaged from most of the curriculum. I was without motivation for much of my academic career, and unfortunately what happened is I lost enjoyment of the process along the way. And I know that everybody says, well, it's school, you're not supposed to enjoy it, but I think that there was a point where I didn't want to have anything to do with school at all. It was really an unenjoyable, unpleasant experience for me. And probably from the age of middle school and on, I cared about sports and music and my friends, and I did not care about doing schoolwork. And I never did homework. I would come home, I would lie to my parents, I would tell them that my work was finished and it wasn't. I would get failing grades, and in middle school, you just kind of pass anyways. I didn't. I got moved back from 8th grade back into my 7th grade year. It was horrible. It was so embarrassing. Like I'm sitting in class, in my new homeroom, and all of my old friends are kind of like just circling through, just like, hey, what's up, buddy? How's it feel to be back in 7th grade? I'm like, oh my gosh. Anyways, I did it to myself. I have nobody to blame. So I continued on in high school, and high school was a very similar experience. I was really into sports. I played a lot of football, and I was into powerlifting and snowboarding and skiing. And I remember I had probably summer school every single year, which was such a complete waste. Unfortunately, some of you might be in summer school. I'm sorry to say that I wasted my time in summer school. Ultimately, what happened is I got to my junior year. I was in summer school and I was going into my senior year. I had my football helmet on. I was out on the field, and I remember the principal of the school came out, and he waves his hand and he says, "Come here." And I said, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" And I went into his office with the dean of students, and he told me, he said, "You failed 2 out of the 3 classes that you were taking in summer school. What in the world is going on with you?" And I was blown away. I literally thought that I had tried. I did not try whatsoever, unfortunately. And as a result, I was academically dismissed. Right there, right on the spot. I had to leave my friends behind. I had to drop my football helmet off in the locker and my pads, and I had to go say goodbye to everybody. And I had to go home that day, and I had to break the news to my parents that I got kicked out of school. And that was a very tough thing for my parents to acknowledge, especially my father. Man, that broke my father's heart. He was in tears that day. And he looked at me, with tears in his eyes, and he said, "What are you going to do now? You can't even graduate with your best friend." I said, "It'll be okay. I'll go to school, the local school that was here." So going to school in my local town was not an uncomfortable situation for me. I grew up there, so I knew everybody. I went to school and it was fine. I fit in, but I still missed all of my friends, man. It was so horrible. And unfortunately, that wasn't the last time that this happened. Because I had not developed any study skills or time management skills, I continued on through college. I got expelled from my first graduate school because of an academic probation issue. It had nothing to do with lack of intelligence. It had nothing to do with discipline. It had to do with the fact that I had bad grades because I did not apply myself. And in high school, it's one thing. But in college, you actually pay tuition to repeat those classes. And in grad school, it's several $1,000s. And not only that, you're going to pay again because now I'm delayed 6 months from going out into the workforce and getting a job that I actually like. So all my friends are graduating from college when they're 22 years old. And I'm out when I'm like 28, 29, and I'm still taking classes and still wasting time and not learning my lesson. So eventually, I did. I graduated, and I was sick of just wasting that time. So eventually I did get my act together, and it was very hard. It was like I was in the deepest, darkest hole, and I had to literally claw my way out. For me to develop study skills when all of my friends were really out having fun and doing things that I wanted to be doing, it was so much more difficult if I would have just done it when I was younger. And it was really tough. So that being said, when you're in high school, make the most of this experience. Sophomores, juniors, and seniors especially, because you are next to leave the school and you really have to kind of, buckle down or at least develop a game plan. Spend this time with your parents or your guidance counselors or whoever you need to just make sure that you're kind of on the right track. Juniors and sophomores have a little more time to kind of iron out the wrinkles, in the situation. So for me, the best advice that I can give you are these few things. It doesn't matter what you want to be in life. Number one, I can tell you, I came from the bottom and I am essentially at the top right now. There really aren't many professions higher than neurosurgery. I'm not the neurosurgeon, but I work in there and those people rely on me all the time. So I can tell you that anything is possible. If you want to do something, do it. Trust me, apply yourself and do it. Dream it. It doesn't matter if you want to be a mechanic on an Indy race car team or a professional athlete or a brain surgeon or an athlete or a rocket scientist or a fireman or a policewoman or anywhere in between. If you dream of it, you can do it. Trust me. I've been there. I know where you are if you're at the bottom, and I know how long of a road it is, but it is worth going back up. Number two, listen to your parents. If they have any advice to give or if they're trying to help you, just stop for a second and listen. It will mean the world to them and it will help you out because adults have been there, and adults and teachers are not perfect by any means because we're all still going through life together. But adults have been there before, and they can look backwards and give you some really sound advice. So, to wrap this up, I wish everybody the best of luck. I'm so proud to be able to come back and produce this program for you with Chantel and Quentin, and wish you well on this journey. It only happens once. Everything in life only happens one time. You'll get many chances, but you're only in high school one time, so make the most of it. I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. I hope you enjoyed the program. Thank you so much for listening. This is Dr. Judd, Laurie, and I'm speaking for Limitless Leaders.